So it would be weird to say like, I have faith you'll win your upcoming basketball game, but I really hope you lose. It's like, no, faith involves this desire or thinking this would be good.
This trust as well.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, I think I am totally happy with views that say faith is a kind of trust.
And I mean, everyone has faith
related.
as well. I mean, Albert Einstein, for example, said he cannot imagine any scientist without the most profound faith. I mean, faith is really entrenched in all of our convictions.
I totally agree. I feel like people associate faith with just this religious thing. And I think that's just not the best way to think about it. You have faith in your spouse and faith in your friends and faith in recycling or the Constitution or you name it, what your favorite political view. I mean, you have faith in so many different things, whether you're religious or not. And I actually really don't like it when you'll see this, like people will say, I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. I don't like it when people say that because it's
Frank Turek says that, I think.
And I think that's really harmful. Isn't that the title of his book? Or
literally the title of his book.
I don't I knew it was a book. But the problem is that what you're doing is you're conceding that faith is this bad thing. Faith is this believing without evidence or believing something is false, and I just think that's not the way I like to think about faith. I like to think about faith as a thing that helps us maintain our commitments, and because of that it can help us persist in a commitment even when we get counter evidence. But that's very different than saying faith is believing without evidence or bliving something isn't true. So I don't like that book title.
I mean,
that's just not what faith is.
Right, exactly. And let me see here. I mean, the way I think of faith too is when you have all this evidence, right? And you get to the very edge of knowledge. Not that we can get to the very edge of knowledge, but you get to the edge of some kind of proposition and you put your faith in that proposition, right? I mean, everything we believe, we have faith that we believe it. We presuppose a ton of things, so this notion of blind faith is just, it's no good.
I agree. So I think, and I think there's a distinction between saying faith could, in some sense, go beyond the evidence to a point, and saying that faith is just ignoring evidence or something.
Right.
I think we can say like faith has this unique relationship with evidence without saying they're just totally opposed to each other. I don't like that idea. So,
right. And real quick, Liz, are you familiar with Bishop Barron?
I am.
I heard him on Cosmic Skeptics podcast, and he kind of defined faith like this isn't his exact words. I kind of formulated it differently, but imagine you meet a woman for the first time, you know absolutely nothing about her, right? But gradually you begin to know her better and better. And over time, you pretty much know all there is to know, but not everything. And at this point, she's revealing all kinds of things about herself to you. So would you believe her? Or would you think she's misguiding you or lying? Probably not. You would place trust in her. And I just thought that was really great because that's kind of how faith works. You have trust in this and you begin to believe this, but it's predicated on reasonable grounds. You're not just believing blindly, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it reveals itself over time. And you place faith in that.
Totally. And sometimes having faith or taking an act of faith, like you said, then can reveal additional evidence, but you couldn't have had that evidence if you didn't take that act of faith.
Exactly.
I think religious faith can definitely be like this. So, yeah. So did you want me to kind of tie it into the Pascal's wager stuff?
If you want, like briefly, I mean, I think we've kind of touched on it, but whatever you want.
Yeah, sure. Well, okay. I'll just say quickly. So kind of what we've been getting at with faith is I think faith can be rational even in the face of doubt or counter evidence. Again, it's not this thing that's like believing without evidence, but faith can help you. Like even that example that you just gave, you don't have full and complete evidence that this person is trustworthy or this person, she's a good person or whatever.
Yeah.
But and then you might even get to a situation where you have doubts about her, but faith can help you sort of persist in your friendship or whatever kind of relationship you have with her. And I think that's true for a lot of things, both relationships, but even also other kind of commitments to ideals that we might have. Stuff
exactly.
Like that.
Yeah.
And this is actually in some ways really related to what is going on in cases of taking Pascal's wager, because the point of Pascal's wager is that it can be rational to make this commitment to God, even if you have a lot of doubts about whether God exists, even if you think the probability that God exists is like relatively low or somewhere in the 0.5 range. But it's saying like, you don't have to have this like 99% chance that theism is true to be rational. And, I think in both cases, part of what motivates you is this consideration about value or this pragmatic thing. Like faith, I said, involves a desire. Part of what motivates you to persist in your commitments is like, how good would it be if I continued in this commitment and this person was trustworthy, or I continued to get this degree and I'm cut out for it or whatever. And in the same way, Pascal's wager is like, how good would it be if I made this commitment to God and continued in that commitment and God did exist? So in both cases, you're kind of motivated to continue, not just because of epistemic stuff, but because of these practical or desire-based reasoning. So I won't, I'll leave it there. But the point is, I think actually faith and Pascal's wager have quite a bit in common. And I actually have a paper, it's called Faithfully Taking Pascal's Wager, where I spell all this out in more detail. So people can check that out if they're more interested in that. That was a brief summary. Yeah.
Sounds interesting.